Hello, hello. Oh, we're all here. Hello. Welcome to the K-Wave discussion. Just a brief overview of who I am. My name is Deidre Smalls-Landau. I wish I was the chief commercial officer, but I'm not. I'm the Global Chief Cross-Cultural Officer at and what we're here today to talk about is the K-Wave and the Remix Culture Global Study that was created by a part of IPG. It's a global study that really looks into the trends that are shaping modern culture today. It is integrated into our planning process at which is a global media agency. 4 of the key trends that we recognized within the study are resist, which is standing up for something, retrograde, which is authentically connecting to who you are, as well as nostalgic element associated with culture. Create, which is about mixing up to disrupt, really sort of creating new ways of being, as well as the disruption of technology into products. And then finally, relocalize, which is about sort of the local adaptation of cultures and reinterpretation from global to local. One of the big key insights that we discovered, which is why Yeonjung is here today, which we discovered is the sheer scale and global influence of K-pop from our study was fascinating. I mean, we know it, but it's always great to have a validation, and we got that through our study. So I'm going to take a quick, look at the sheer scale. Globally, you can see across all markets, K-pop among 16 to 24-year-olds is a global phenomenon. But more than me telling you that it is a global phenomenon, I'm going to click to a video, and that'll demonstrate what the global phenomenon looks like.
지금은 K-팝의 대세지. 난 트위터로 오빠 계정을 만들어서 매일 얻어 생각하고 있어.
I'm very into K-pop nowadays. After following many Korean fans accounts like Shinso, I can see all the details of my idol's life immediately. リアルタイムでオッパの情報がわかるのもいいし、ファン同士ツイッターで遊ぶのもすっごい楽しいよ。
그치? 재밌지? 우리 댄스 팀도 트위터에서 만났어.
Eu amo K-pop. É por isso que eu uso Twitter, pra ter notícias mais rápidas das músicas e dos shows. Olha isso.
Amazing. So with this trend that we notice, there's no better person to have this fireside chat with than Yeonjung, who is the global head of partnerships for K-pop. She is responsible for driving partners, as well as leading K-pop artists and Korea broadcasters around the world. So with that said, I'd like to introduce her and kick off with our first question. So my first question is, again, as we witnessed from looking at the video in our global study, there is no single comparison in terms of the phenomenon that crosses so many cultures. BTS selling out at Wembley Stadium in England, achieving 3 Billboard #1 albums in a year, becoming Time Magazine's list of 100 most influential people. And then most recently, and I would say in the past week, Mattel announcing that they're creating a doll collection for BTS, and then the BTS World mobile game that basically are driving fans crazy. These guys are phenomenal. They've reached an iconic status. And according to our study, as I said, they not only are embraced globally, but they shot up to number 3 in countries that inspire and influence pop culture. What is it about the K-pop phenomenon that has made it such a huge success globally?
Okay. The first question is about why K-pop phenomenon is happening globally, everywhere. So while the global rise of K-pop has become like meteoric, but K-pop ecosystem actually started 25 years ago since the Sateji syndrome. Actually, K-pop ecosystem has a very unique producing style, very unique training system for vocal and dance, like a group dance. And also, they are the most unique K-pop fandom and culture in the system. So, even 15 years ago, some of the K-pop band to be globalized, to go the other reason, beyond Korea. So some of the bands like Dongbang Super Junior, Girl Generation, Wonder Girls, 21 were really successful in the global stage. But now, what was changed? So because of the media change, media environment change, and media behavior change, it led some globalization, kind of a very big scale. So Twitter is a really live, public, and open, global, and conversational platform. So those kind of a social platform like Twitter provided fans and K-pop artists to be more globalized because there is no limitation physically. But going back to the K-pop history, 25 years old, but in that case, there were just limited opportunity. For example, if a K-pop artist want to go to global, they should acquire the opportunity to be on the stage of a broadcasting and go to offline concert and go to promotional activity for specific markets to be globalized. But now, there is an open, public, live, conversational global platform like Twitter. So Twitter kind of the platform to accelerating the rise of K-pop globally. So Twitter serves as a bridge for K-pop to the global. So we are saying we observed a lot of facts. Last year, the most K-pop engaged country, top 20, including not just from APAC countries, but also from Latin America, Europe countries, and also UK or US. So a lot of countries are involved for the top 10 or top 20 countries who most tweet about K-pop. So we also have a lot of data. For example, we partnered with Sumpi, which is a K-pop community globally. So we did drive some award that is a Twitter Best Fandom. So this hashtag generated 95 million tweets for one hashtag. So this hashtag including also some APAC countries like Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, a lot, Australia even, yeah. So we realized that K-pop is so global. Why? It's because a huge credit is due to the fandom and culture of a K-pop community. We say it K-pop Twitter. So as you see the video, K-pop Twitter is happening everywhere. No matter which country, no matter which cultural background, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
So to that point, when we think about this trend that we identified within our study called Reglocalize, which is about the global reinterpretation locally. We see it happening with brands. We see it happening with music. So when we think about the Los Angeles, U.S. Los Angeles Chicano culture being reinterpreted in Japan in a respectful way, we think about how hip-hop, a 40-year-old genre, is being reglocalized around the world, in Korea, reinterpreted, have you seen this reglocalized trend in K-pop?
To be honest, reglocalization does not happen as much with K-pop because there is some unity in diversity for K-pop phenomenon and K-pop community and K-pop fandom. So we realize that when we do the live streaming, like Twitter, Bloom Live with the K-pop artists a lot, in that case, there are a lot of fans are coming from multiple countries and multiple cultural background, multiple age group. So we realize on Twitter there is some account like, for example, GOT7. GOT7 is the top boy band. So GOT7 streaming team, GOT7 translation team, GOT7 voting team. So those kind of handle on Twitter is active as a one team. There is no solid line of the K-pop community, but they are activate their supporting role for the K-pop artists as a one team. So even though the Korean music, K-pop, is based on the totally Korean language, but fans are really understanding because K-pop has authenticity and purity and integrity as a K-pop itself. That's why K-pop fans are loving that K-pop itself as a phenomenon, and they accept everything. So fans are generating their own organic and natural kind of volunteership. They translate from Korean to their own language. For example, a fan is in Spain, they translate from Korean to Spanish. And Russia, they translate Korean to Russian, something like that. So intentionally, Kpop management company don't translate to localize their own music language to each market. So just the global one language that is K-pop music and that is K-pop culture is accepted for the K-pop all over the world.
So I think what's interesting about that is that while K-pop, the brands or the groups don't necessarily reglocalize, the fans do, right?
Yeah,
so
fans do.
And that's huge in terms of the strength of your platform to allow the fans to have a voice in creating the localization that is needed. So I think that's fascinating. One of the things that we also saw, which I think, the idea of boy bands has been around forever, right? So it's been around since 50 years, right? So we had, in the 50s, we had R&B doo-wop groups like Ink Spot. In the 60s, we had the Beatles from Europe and Jackson 5. In the 70s and 80s, we had Menudo, New Edition, New Kids on the Block. The 90s, we had NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what do you think are the elements? I mean, you've touched on a lot of the elements of success. Obviously, it's a new world, right? So all those bands that I mentioned didn't have the benefit of social media in order to create the fandom. So, but what do you think is going to be the staying power? Because as you think of, none of those bands are around today, especially the 90s bands. They've all broken up. What do you think is going to keep the staying power for K-pop groups?
Actually, as I mentioned, there are some elements of the success of K-pop. First of all, there is some specific training system for vocal and dance. Usually, K-pop boy band is based on the group dance. Looks amazing. And also, broadcasting is also a very, very important piece because, for example, CJ ENM, who is driving the K-pop most piece. So they are driving K-Con, which is a K-Con, K-Convention, and K-pop concerts. So they were driving 8 years K-Con from LA, actually. So actually, they provide the stage for the boy band, even girl band, because sustainable K-pop world. They provide the opportunity for boy band to be on the stage to show how they are good. So that's also the very big factor for the K-pop successful sustainable things. But boy band, we have actually generation 3. Maybe some of you guys know the first generation of K-pop is H.O.T. and G.O.D. Those kind of groups are first generation from 1990s. And also second generation is, maybe you know the Super Junior, SHINee, and Dongbang Shingi, and 2PM. So those are second generation of the whole K-pop world. And third generation is right now. Actually, EXO is a 7 years old boy band, but we have EXO and BTS and GOT7. So they are all third generation boy band. So how they are being connected and sustained as one K-pop world and one K-pop ecosystem.
Right.
Because management company is driving some system. During some certain period, they grow the K-pop boy band to the top level, and then they grow one newbie, like a successor group. For example, EXO has a successor group, which is NCT, and GOT7 has a successor group of them, the Stray Kids. And also, BTS has their successor group, TXT. So there is a kind of a brothers and system for boy groups. So management company always prepare the next one, even though they maintain the top group to the top. So that's also the part of the system.
Yeah, that's extremely fascinating because, one of the issues that have occurred with boy bands historically is that there is one rising star that breaks out and does his own thing, and then the boy group falls apart. So what you're saying is that this probably will never happen because it's so systematically orchestrated that there's a training ground to sort of nurture the next group of talent as folks come in and come out.
Yeah. But it's a very positive way because why K-pop artist groups are growing but not disappear. They go to the sustain their own career, and then the new group is growing and emerging together in the K-pop world. And also there is a big fandom culture as well, because when you go to the concert, you can see the light stick like for cheering and participating to join, sing a song together. So have you ever seen that? Seen before?
Raise your hand.
Yeah,
Anyone
yeah.
seen the light stick?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, but I think she is a K-pop fan. So ARMY is maybe somebody perceive ARMY is just a fandom name of K-pop, but
I didn't know
ARMY
that. I was educated through this entire process. It's been fascinating. I thought ARMY was even. She's like, no, that's the BTS.
Yeah.
Fandom.
ARMY is only for BTS. The ARMY is a BTS fandom name. And also, EXO has their own EXO-L, and GOT7 has their own GAGASE, and Blackpink has their own Blink. So their own fan club name, and that is really distinctive from the other band. So Lightstick, and also fan name, and some very authentic their culture, their own culture for specific artist group. So actually, that is also the piece of the how K-pop boy band is really sustainable compared to the other genre. So that's not just the one single comment for the how it's sustained the world,
Right.
of K-pop.
So there could never be, because of the training that's done in a great way, to your point, and the huge fandom that each of these boy groups have, or these groups have, there could never be an uprising, so to speak, because the fans won't allow it, and then the way that it's systematically structured would never sort of allow. That could never happen.
But I would say management system is very systemic and very practical. But fandom is very organic, very natural, because nobody talk to fandom, to fan group, hey, you should do it. But they do naturally, organically, voluntarily. They do translate, they do streaming, and then they do vote for their artist group to support them as a one team. So actually last year, K-pop Twitter generated 5.3 billion tweets on Twitter globally. How big it is? You know, gaming generated 1 billion tweets last year. So K-pop generated 5 times more than gaming, right? So that conversation is huge, but fandom, fan groups, they generated that tweet. Not just the management company tweet all 5.3 billion tweets. So it's really natural stream. Fan influence artists, and artists influence fans. They are kind of an ecosystem of the between fans and K-pop artist group, and there is a system and ecosystem as a culture.
Right.
Yeah.
And fans love them so much because of their authenticity. Is
Yes.
is that key to sort of why it's so sustainable? It's authentic.
Yeah.
I think the messaging within some of the BTS lyrics are about empowerment.
Yes.
It's just there's so many aspects that are fascinating. Do you find that there are things within the 2 decades of K-pop's existence that really speak to this idea of retrograde, which is about connecting to the past, that are things that are sort of coming forward? I know Home Masters is a significant, which is called Homa.
Yeah.
Okay, I got that right. That was part of the when it started. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Before we talk about Homa, we should know how K-pop community is running. So they love authenticity. She said authenticity, purity, and integrity as a K-pop itself. So no matter the language is different, but it doesn't matter that much. And also they are communicate each other together. So going back to the 20 years ago, in the late 90s. There were internet penetration was huge in Korea. So K-pop penetration and internet penetration was the same period happening. So there were a lot of community to support K-pop artists. So there is some community, but there were closed community because at that time there was no social media platform like open public. So there are a lot of community as a homepage base. So that's why homepage webmaster, who is a homepage master, abbreviation home master, they were kind of a role connecting of K-pop artists and also K-pop fans. So they're kind of a owner of the homepage. So we said homepage master, but now it became to be some different meaning. So homepage master, abbreviation homma, they are doing some job, specific job. For taking a picture and taking a video in a very professional way. So when they go to concert or when they go to airport departure area or arrival area, they could take a picture and video for fan. So they are kind of a connector and bridge role between K-pop artists and K-pop fans, general fans. So they're kind of a interaction between them. So Homa is a key role, but they are so dedicated, so loyal, and so authentic and integrated to support their artists. So yeah, we say they really keep the role and also keep the rule to protect their own favorite artists. Yeah.
So they're really more so there's the manager, which is separate from the Homa. The Homa are individual members of each brand, of each member within the group that really sort of become that fan Homa.
Yeah, actually, Homa is for specific one member among whole group. For example, you can imagine BTS. There is a RM, one member of BTS, but Homa just follow one member of a K-pop group and then take picture and video for RM only, so dedicated for the one member. And then the picture and video is so professional, so high quality, and then it is consumed by fans all around the world on Twitter because they tweet the video and the picture, even though there is some issue about the copyright, but in the ecosystem, Kpop Management company a little bit allow don't touch the home mass activations because there are really key role to sustain the K-pop ecosystem between artist and fan.
It's amazing. One of the, and we have 4 minutes left, one of the things that we noticed in our global study, again, our global study was 81 countries, 44 languages, is that 61% of consumers globally expect brands to play a role in social good. This rise of brands not standing for anything is probably gone with the wind because social platforms allow brands to connect with audiences and audience to have their voice. The other trend that we saw is that 50% believe that celebrities and athletes also play a significant role in social good. So recognizing that K-pop is a brand and is also they're celebrities, do you expect to see more acts of resist from other K-pop brands? So what we saw was the Pound End Violence campaign that BTS did with UNICEF, a collaboration that became the most tweeted social movement in APAC last year. How has the bar been raised for K-pop bands to really stand for something greater than themselves? Because we see it in we see in the US, we see Cardi B tweeting about voting, I believe. We see celebrities, musicians standing up for something. So what do you think is sort of the trend that's going to happen here with K-pop groups?
Due to the phenomenon of K-pop globalizations, K-pop bands group really realize that they have some responsibility for the social movement or social responsibility, something. So as BTS did a speech for the end of violence with UNICEF, and also there is some band like GOT7. They also collaborated with the Make-A-Wish Foundation to keep dreaming with GOT7, something like that. So they drive the campaign during their world tour, and also brand can aligning with that together. So also, I would like to say more about social responsibility as well as brand engagement because K-pop is happening on Twitter. So K-pop connect fans and brand together. So brand in here there are a lot of marketer and branding advertisers. So you can join to the K-pop community and see what's happening with them, and also connect with them as a even social responsibility, even or some big campaign with them. So for example, Kia Motors are sponsoring for the Blackpink World Tour, and also Toyota has been sponsored for the K-Con, which is a K-pop convention event, 5 years. So maybe brands can engage to the K-pop band as a different way, various ways. So maybe you can see what's happening around the K-pop, how they are changing their shift, the focus shift. So I think,
And do you believe, just because I have to believe, because K-pop operates from such an authentic place, that these are authentic alignment? So BTS with UNICEF, that's an authentic.
Yes.
They care about that. GOT7 with Make-A-Wish Foundation, they care about it. So, because consumers and your Twitter community can see right through that.
yes.
So that is authentic.
Yes, yeah. Consumers are really open, and also they are so dedicated for the K-pop band. So brands also can engage with the K-pop fans, the K-pop community with the same sense, because they are really resonating together, each other. So yeah, brand can join to the K-pop world, really, which is really authentic. Yeah.
The last question is really about, we can keep going because we were cut short, right? I don't see anybody stopping us. Let's continue. Let's just keep going. Fans, well, it's not the last question. I have two more. Fans across the world can't stop tweeting about K-pop, right? You mentioned the 5.3 billion tweets and the unique positioning that Twitter has within that in terms of being the top conversation platform for global K-pop community. And you have this Twitter Blue Room.
Yes.
Let's talk about what the Twitter Blue Room has enabled the K-pop to do.
Yes, Twitter Blue Room live Q&A session is kind of a Q&A between K-pop artists and K-pop fans in a very open and public way. So they just get questions from fans and then they answer live streaming way. So actually last year we did 34 times of a Twitter Blue Room live streaming with 200 artists. So it was such an amazing opportunity for K-pop band to interact with fans in a very natural way without any limitations. So this year we also touched over 26 times already. So it makes for them to be more authentic and to show how they are doing, even in daily life, not just for the performance on the stage. Right. So it enable people interact with each other and drive the conversation. So Twitter is really providing conversation. So conversation is a key for us. Not just the other thing can beat conversation, how important it is. So we are keep driving conversation on Twitter between K-pop artists and also K-pop fans, or some brand between brand and K-pop artists, or between fans and brands and anything. So we generate the conversation.
Okay, so you've seen global brands participate with K-pop, local brands in the Blue Room, Twitter Blue Room, local brands. You've seen it across scales.
Yeah. We also provide the opportunity for brand engage as a in-stream sponsorship opportunity. So maybe brand also collaborate the K-pop through this platform, Twitter Blue Room Live Q&A. So yeah. It's possible, everything.
Last question.
Time's up?
I know, time's up. This is the last question, I promise. So we've talked about how strong Twitter is as a platform for K-pop. We've talked about the role that Twitter plays within K-pop. Why, and I think I know the answer, but I'd love the audience to hear it, why hasn't Facebook or Instagram or Line become a cultural conversation hub for K-pop?
Good question. Why Twitter?
Why Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter is what's happening and what people are talking about right now, not the past. So K-pop is what's happening itself, because about the new concert schedule and the new program and the new album and some new groups debut, a lot of news and what's happening is happening on Twitter. So that's why Twitter provides a live, public, global, conversational platform for fans to interact and to generate the conversations. That's why Twitter is the most strongest platform for K-pop, even though K-pop is just worldwide mainstream. But yeah, we think so as a Twitter.
And that concludes our panel. We don't have time for questions.
I think we're... Hello? Yeah, I just want to say a special thank you to Deidre, who's flown in especially for us from New York, and Kim Young, who has flown in all the way from Korea. So thank you very much for coming and sharing those insights with us.
Thank you.